Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. If I can get my camera on.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Tammy. Good morning, Renee. Good to see everybody. Okay, and we want to say hi to our YouTube audience and thank you for joining us in the sacred energy of Circle today. And today you're going to be able to watch our evidential mediums as they connect with people who've crossed over to the other side and deliver messages from those people. And our hope is that by watching our mediums at work, you'll come to understand that the loved ones that you may have lost are in fact still with you. So please, will you join us as we open with a prayer? Holy Father, Mother God, thank you for allowing us to come together today in service of spirit. Please help us to open all of our senses, physical and spiritual, so that we can receive your messages without interference from our own minds. We humbly ask that you make this circle an uplifting and joyous experience for everyone in attendance. Please ask the spirits who recognize the voices in this room to join us this morning so that we will know that they watch over us, love us, and protect us still. And please allow us to deliver the information presented by Spirit with grace and compassion, in complete trust and respect of your infinite wisdom. Amen. All right, we only have 3 people, so I'm not even going to set up a timer. And whenever anybody gets a link, just hop on in there, okay?
I can start us.
Yeah, thanks, Rini.
I have a woman that's coming through, but she's concentrating on her mouth. I feel like she had some mouth issues, either teeth or the way she spoke or a slur. There was something about her speech and her mouth, that you would be aware of. I'm going to stop there, see if either of you understand a woman like this. Nothing yet. Okay. Um, I'm also showing like an old house being boarded up. Um, there's being boards put on the windows and the house just being abandoned. I feel like this was in a family home that was left. Um, and there's history to this home. Would either of you understand this? A family home being boarded up and left abandoned. And I feel like
Maybe, maybe, but I don't understand the mouth issues.
okay, okay. I'm not sure if these two are related or not because they gave me one and then they started showing this.
I understand the reference to an old family house.
Okay, okay,
Don't know about the mouth
okay.
issue yet.
Let me see where else they're taking me on this. Um, Now they're going back to this woman, and it's almost like there was something around this house, almost like a secret. So she's keeping quiet about something that happened in this home. Um, and she's not really revealing, but there was a secret also involved with this home. Would either of you know anything about that? No?
No.
That's you, Tammy. Let me see what else they have to say. And I feel like this was in the past. I feel like there was some type of secret being kept or nobody wanted it uncovered. But I feel like this was way in the past. Like this could be like great grandparents or great great grandparents time frame. Um, because they're kind of switching to now and they're like showing green grass and like a modern home and harmony. Um, they're also talking about cousins and they're talking about May, a gathering in May of some type, like family getting together. Would either of you understand a family gathering and getting together in May?
I am understanding a lot of this. It's really worky.
Really?
Yeah. I,
Okay. Okay. Can I continue to work with you then, Tammy, on this?
yeah, I mean, you might want to keep it open to both of us only
Okay.
because I'm not sure who it could be coming through. It might be a relative I have never met.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I feel like this was distant, and I feel like whatever was involved with this old house, is kind of being pushed aside and left alone, and like closing the door, and we don't want to know, and like moving on to now into a newer home, harmony, peace, family gatherings, family tradition, and something happening in May, like a get together of some type in May. Um,
I understand that get together.
Okay. They're showing me like dancing and joyfulness and flowers and it's almost like there's so much harmony, so much like everyone's getting along. Um it's almost like the gathering around the maypole, like when May starts and everybody's joyful that May's here. So they're all joyful about this event that's going to be happening. Um
Mm.
let's see. They're also talking about putting pen to paper, either writing of some type or journaling of some type. Um, almost, are you thinking about writing a book?
No,
No?
no, I think this might have something to do with something else.
Okay, because it's showing writing and it's showing journaling. So there's something about writing and recording. Recording.
Recording, yes, I understand that.
Okay, there's
Yep,
been recording
yep.
of this. Um, it's almost like they want you to broadcast this. Like they want more people to be aware.
Oh,
Um,
interesting, interesting.
um, it's yeah, it's like broadcasting this. Um,
This is really cool.
they're also wow, like the person doesn't have glasses, but they're putting glasses on for things to come into focus better. Like you could focus more, um, and looking into the detail, of all of this. Um, But the whole message is just about harmony, bringing harmony into your life and bringing family into your life and joining. Like they're showing me like hands join, you know, um, and just this brilliance of light and happiness. And I'm just going to leave it like that. And
Wow, this is very cool. Yeah, I
thank
don't
you
know.
for coming in.
Yeah, I wouldn't, you know what? I wouldn't, anything you said about them, I probably wouldn't know. And
Okay.
let me just make sure that my video is off of blur because I have to show you something.
Okay.
Because I think I have a blurred black background on right now. Okay, is it off? Yeah, it's off.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the house.
Ah,
Can you see it?
yeah.
I was just looking at all of this yesterday because
Oh,
I was talking to another medium who we are probably distant relatives. And so this is a whole thing about my mother's side of the family. So it's like a,
wow.
you know, a genealogy, and there's also a
Wow.
book that was done about this. And but I had this, and so this house actually, it's it's an original house from what is it, like 1858? They
Yeah,
built
that's
this
what I said. I feel like it goes way back, like almost
18,
centuries.
yeah, 1858, John Crandall, because everything you were saying, I was like, oh my gosh, because she and I were also talking about this is another medium, and we were talking about the relation of when the family came over in relation to the Mayflower, and you said maypole, which was really funny. My sister and I years ago went to a family reunion, and I'm quite sure it was in May. It was it was bizarre actually, so it wasn't like happy and all of that stuff, but I think they're
Uh-huh.
relating to like our family reunions now,
Uh-huh.
kind of interweaving all of that.
Right. Right.
And but you were saying putting pen to paper, writing a book, because there's a book with the family genealogy. It's just that I have
Wow.
it in storage. And you were talking about recording. And so genealogy is all about recording. you know, the
Wow.
history and birthdays and they, they want more people to be aware because that's all about, the family, family history,
Wow.
look into the detail. It's like I was on ChatGPT doing a deep dive, like trying to get more information. And they were
Oh,
like, well, when was this
wow.
person born and what county were they in? And so I'm like, all these little details,
Uh-huh.
and,
Wow.
and then you were talking about, harmony and family into your life and hands joined. So that all goes together with, genealogy,
Mm-hmm.
your family history. And because I work hard or I shouldn't say work hard, I put a lot of effort into trying to keep mostly my husband's side of the family, which is large, together, with bringing us together for holidays and things like that. So
Oh.
I think that's whoever was here, I wouldn't have probably known them. It was probably like a great great grandparent or,
Yeah, it felt
um,
like a relative, like a cousin or something. And it was just like showing this house that was boarded up and left like in the past.
yeah. And I have this picture of this house from John Crandall. And
Wow.
so, and um, fun fact, one time, for other mediumistic reasons, I was looking up information about Lucille Ball
Hmm.
because she had come into a reading. Okay. And so it was a few years back, and as we do, mediums from time to time, we doubt. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, I'm not so sure I trust that this is really you. Tell me something I wouldn't know about you.
Uh-huh.
At first, I said, how tall were you?
Uh-huh.
And I said, tell me something that I wouldn't know. And I went and looked these things up, and they were right. It was like, oh,
Wow.
that's how tall she said she was. And this is something I never would have known, that was close to her heart and that I read online. But here's the thing that was really interesting. Then another time I was looking and I see that her mother's side of the family originated from Elder John Crandall. And I was like, no way. And
Wow.
that's my family too, was Elder John Crandall. So it's like, oh my
Wow.
God. I mean, like, generations and 400 generations,
Yeah.
ago or spread
Wow.
out. But I was like, oh my gosh, well, who would have known, And so
Wow.
that's the fun story on that. So for a while, she was coming in a lot and she was doing some really fun, magical things, but
That's
I
awesome.
haven't seen her for a while now. So
Wow. Well, thanks for
must be
sharing
busy.
that. That was quite exciting. Oh, like, what
This
the
was so cool.
heck?
You were describing it and I'm looking at the house thinking, I just wonder.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, nice job, Rini. Gosh, that was very
Wow.
cool. Uh,
And I'm so glad you started off that way,
Wow.
because I was listening to you. And, for the benefit of our YouTube audiences, one of the most frustrating things for beginning mediums is to have somebody say no to
Uh-huh.
you. And like if we replayed that video, okay, of Rini, how many no's did Rini get initially in in the first part of that reading?
Mhm.
But we'll tell you, spirit never lies to you. Okay, they always have important information, and I think Rini's persistence with that reading, she has such a deep trust in spirit that she said, I know spirit's not giving me bad information. All right.
Mhm.
I'm just going to dig into it. Okay. And see what I can find out about it. And look, it makes perfect sense in an unusual way, you
Mhm.
know. But Rini, I want you to talk about that, if that's okay. Like, how did you feel initially when you were getting all those no's in the beginning?
Well, like Timmy says, you always want to doubt yourself, and
mm,
not believe it. And I'm like, but they're showing me this. And there's some correlation between this person that can't speak of whatever happened with this house, and they're showing me the house boarded up, and it's like it felt like centuries ago, old. It was great
Mhm.
great grandparents or whatever, or cousins, and it was like the more I insisted on show me more and tell me more, it not only was interesting to her, but it was interesting to me that, like, where's this going and what are they showing me? And then for her to
Right.
pick that picture up, and it's like, whoa, this is blowing me away, because they showed it to me in black and white, like this house boarded up and boards being put over the windows, and it abandoned a long time ago, and it's like, wow, so it's like, yeah, sometimes we just have to, when we get the no's, just go back and say, rephrase this or show me something different. Because I'm thinking when she showed me her mouth, something happened to her mouth. She had an accident, she got hit in the mouth or something. But no, then she said she showed me covering her mouth, that she couldn't speak about this. There's some type of secret too involved in all this too. So
Well, yeah, something could have happened, but then
yeah,
also it could have been, back in that era, dental care wasn't done that
yeah,
much. So,
that's
a
true.
lot of them lost their teeth so early,
Mhm.
so they didn't
Yeah,
smile in photos. So it may have been, could have been that,
yeah,
showing,
yeah. Wow.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
really
That's
cool.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Well, what about
inspires
you?
me to keep digging even more,
Yeah.
into it,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's-
Very interesting.
Yeah, that was cool.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what about you, Tammy? When you get like all those no's in the beginning of a reading, how do you feel and how do you handle it?
Um, well, then I question, is this the right sitter? Maybe this isn't the
Good
recipient.
advice. Good
Yeah, it's like,
advice.
oh, this must not be the right recipient. Let me just check back with, anybody else that's in the room. But if it's with on a one-to-one reading, um, what I usually do is if I really keep getting a lot of no's, then I'll usually thank that spirit for coming in and then, ask if somebody else would like to come in. And if I'm still getting no's, then I'll ask the client who would they like, who would they like to hear from? And, then usually the person will come in. But I mean, generally, I mean, if then, that hasn't happened, but if then they said, no, I can't take, first I would question the openness of the recipient,
Mhm.
because maybe they're just not ready,
Mhm.
for whatever reason they're not ready, or, maybe this is making them nervous and they're trying to be open, but they can't be open because it's subconsciously making them too nervous, or um so yeah. But otherwise, if I get the first few no's, I definitely keep going because I figure,
Mhm.
or sometimes it can be I'm misinterpreting how they're giving it to me. And so, I'll say, show me again or show me something else. Um, if it's just not making sense. Sometimes, so much of the time, it's in the wording of how we then word what we are interpreting, and you can say almost the same thing that you've just gotten, say it in a different way, and suddenly it's understood.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Correct.
So there's that too.
Okay. Well, and
How about you, Carol?
the one thing that I wanted to say was sometimes in my experience, I've had sitters who, first of all, either did not know the information that I was presenting to them. Okay. Like you said, Tammy, okay, some of the information you're giving me, I just would not have known. Okay. But then they go back and they talk to another family member and they found out I was right and they
Mhm.
didn't know it. And to me, that's like the coolest thing to ever happen because
Mhm.
if the sitter didn't know it, I sure as heck didn't know it. Where did that information come from?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love
You know,
that. Mhm.
yeah, and that is
Yeah.
a very, very powerful thing to have happen. And then sometimes too, what happens is that sitters will come into readings and their focus is on one or two
Mm.
people. Okay. And, subconsciously, that's who they really want to hear from. And you're giving them information and they're going, no, no, because they're thinking that they want to talk to one or two people specifically. You're giving them information about somebody else. And then they call us on the phone afterwards and they go, Now I know who that was. It's like, oh,
True.
geez, and that always makes me laugh because, like, how do you suppose the spirit feels when that happens in the reading? It's like,
I
how
didn't
they
think of
must
that. I
feel
like
when their
that.
loved one is going, no, I don't know that person. I don't know that person.
You're like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Oh, that reminds me of my very, very, very first reading when I was in classes and we had to pick complete strangers. And this girl, was referred to me to read. And I gave this precise evidence of describing this little girl and the man that helped her and all these details. And she said no to everything. But I stuck with it the whole time. I kept giving her the information, showing. She's like, no, no, I don't know anyone like that. I don't know.
Wow.
Oh, you're wrong, you're wrong. I continued. I finished the reading. She went her way. I was all disappointed. I had her fill out the paperwork, send it to my teacher. 2 days later, she called me and said, "You're not going to believe this. I talked to my mom, and this was my cousin. And you described her to a T. And the man that was on the farm, you described him, and he did teach her how to ride a horse and took her around the farm. Everything you said." And I was like,
Wow.
yeah, spirit.
Wow. I hope she then like sent another, feedback form to your teacher, your mentor.
Yeah, it was like amazing. And I'm like, seriously, she understood all this? And she's like, yeah, she could take everything. And I was like, wow, well, I guess I should continue on then.
There you go. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, for developing mediums, those no's, they happen, and you just have to kind of go, and
Mhm.
keep on chugging along with it, and miracles will happen because of that. So,
Yeah. Maybe even like be more interested to why it's the no, be curious, like why is it the no, rather than being nervous about it, be
mhm,
curious. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good
Just to
point
dig
too,
deeper.
to ask the question. To ask the question, why would that be a no? Very, very good. Yeah.
Mm.
All right, Tammy, are you feeling it?
Yes, before we came on, I believe I have, and this is the issue of I'm hoping she'll give me something different, although a lot of the things I forget. But Rini, I do believe that your sister is here.
Aw.
Um, but quite frankly, because I'm in the right vocation because my memory is so bad, um, my memory is that you have two sisters in spirit.
Yes.
But okay, so I have no idea which one this is. But the first thing, and I'm connecting back in with her. Okay, yep, she's waving. I want to use the word sassy with her. She's very sassy. And so, and she's very, like she would have been great in like a series like Dallas or something because
Oh, yes.
she
Yeah.
can really like, kind of
Yeah.
flip around and the first thing she showed me was shooting pool actually. She came in with like at a pool table and and I was like, oh, okay. And and I feel that I feel like was very comfortable around men,
Oh, very. Yes.
just in a very comfortable way, but in a comfortable way in that flirtatious, but in kind of a tongue-in-cheek way.
Yes.
Like that
Very.
they knew it was play,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
that kind of
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
And and I said, okay, so I know who you are and I know, who you're here for. And I said, so can you show me something like what would be something different, that I don't know? But quite frankly, I really don't remember a whole lot. Um,
Like me, I don't remember.
yeah, I do remember she did show me a hairband and I said, I think you've shown me something like that before. And I don't know if it's with the same sister, but she did show me some kind of a hairband.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
once in a while she would wear a hairband.
Okay, okay. What she showed me, and I said, "Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty interesting." Is she was showing me like two, like almost as though she had pulled out like a piece of hair,
Okay.
and it looked kind of blonde. And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, her hair's blonde. Yeah,
oh, was that it? Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So it's like, what? It's like you're showing me these two strands of hair,
Uh-huh.
and they look blonde, and I wasn't sure what she was trying to convey by that.
Yeah,
So,
she would
okay.
get like blonde on blonde highlight.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
that's what okay, thank you.
Hmm.
Okay. So, she also is showing me, she's going back to that because she showed me before and now she's going back to it. She's such a great communicator because she knows that my memory's not great even in a reading. So it's like, what were they showing me before? And she's like, okay, let me go back. This is what I showed you. So she's showing me again. She's showing me being in a room. It feels like a very kind of girls' room. And there are other young girls there. And I feel this is a memory where she was trying, like they were trying cigarettes, like they were for the first time. Or I don't know if she continued smoking, but I can tell it's the first time because they're all kind of choking and
Yeah,
coughing.
yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense.
And so and it's like they're all trying it, for the first
Yeah.
time, in this room.
Uh-huh.
And so I know that this is a memory. And I know that in the room, well, it looks like to me, it looks like there are two twin beds in this room.
Okay.
So, um, if that's accurate,
Yeah, her
no.
her and my other sister had a room with twin beds. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
So okay, that's what she's showing me there. And just because she seems to want to focus on that, she's also showing me it feels like it's floral, but in kind of paler shades, I want to say.
Probably. I can't remember now how their
Okay,
rooms, but
okay,
I think it
okay.
was.
Um, okay. Oh, she kind of jumped around for a minute here. And okay. She's showing me kind of two things, one right after the other. And it's like, hold on. So she's showing me being outside, and it looks like she's raking, but it's with one of those rakes that have their little short teeth.
Hmm.
And um, okay, and she's drawing my attention. She's very funny this way. Um, I've forgotten the actress's the character's name. That's Jed, and it's the Beverly Hillbillies, but
I was going to say Clampets, the
it's the
grandma,
it's the
Ellie Mae.
attractive sister. The you
Ellie
know
Mae.
Ellie Mae.
Ellie Mae.
Yeah.
She's showing me Ellie Mae because she's kind of acting, she's like out there with this pitchfork acting like Ellie Mae. So,
Oh
uh,
my gosh.
you know,
Oh, I think I know what she's getting to.
okay, I just want to make sure I'm acknowledging everything that she's bringing forward here. So, but she seems to have a lot of fun kind of with her body, kind of,
Yeah.
but
Oh, she did. Oh, she did.
kind of doing, she does a lot of this,
Yeah, she
that kind
did.
of
Yeah,
thing,
she did.
and
Yep.
it kind of like she would, how you click, hips together, like,
Yep.
like that.
Yeah.
So I
She
feel like
would do that all the time to me. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, there's a
Yeah.
lot of that going on.
Yeah.
And then she shows me going onto a bus, and I feel like it's a school bus we're on. And it's interesting though with this school bus. It feels real, but it could also be symbolic because she goes onto this bus, but I feel she's older, more like a teenager, but with her books and things like that. But she gets on this bus and then she's looking at somebody out the window and then blowing kisses.
Aw.
So because it's incongruous with, it's not like a small child going on the bus and waving
Uh-huh.
goodbye to a parent. That's why I'm feeling like maybe it's symbolic because to me, she appears, older than a child. Um, and just the fact that she's blowing kisses rather than a child waving. So
Mhm.
I do kind of feel that that's symbolic. So I'll just acknowledge that for you. And Okay. And now, um, excuse me one second. Let me just. All right. Sorry about that. Um, my dog has the last few morning meetings suddenly likes to go out right in the middle of right when we start. It's like, what? You just went out, you know. So it's like this new thing for her. And so anyway, um, so this is talking about complete trust.
Oh.
I'm hearing the words come in like rice cooker. So, you
Yeah,
know,
she used a rice cooker.
okay. So she's just talking about like a rice cooker. Okay. Because she's talking about, as far as being in the kitchen, she liked it, but she also didn't want to spend a lot of time on it. Um, oh, actually, she says, I could take it or leave it, actually, except for cookies. She liked making cookies.
A
Do you
good
under,
cook at everything she did.
she, what did she
She
do?
was a good cook at everything.
Was she?
Or
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And well she's coming in today because she wants to know and you know how beloved is the word she's using. Beloved you are
Mm.
um by so many and that your loss is felt, you know, on the other side as well.
Oh.
We've received we've received and she's doing well. Nothing to worry about on that end. She's talking about a keepsake now. Okay. She's going to send you a keepsake. And it will be round and shiny like a ball.
Huh.
And I feel very much that she's saying that when you look in it, you can kind of go deep. Concentrate on it and think of her.
Oh.
And I think I'll just leave you with that message, Rini. Um, yeah, I'll leave you with that message from her. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. Oh, you got a lot of detail with her. She was blonde and she would get her hair done blonde on blonde, like streaks.
Okay, because there were two
Yeah,
strands. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. All right.
And she was always flirting with guys, you know, she was a big flirt. Um, she was always moving, always dancing, shoulders always going. I think with the pitchfork, she's talking about me because she always said, I know we have the same dad, but there's no way we could have the same mother because you're so country and she was so city, you know.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I just had a pitchfork out the other day, you know, doing my garden.
Okay,
So
okay.
I could understand her being like Ellie Mae with the pitchfork.
Yes, and it's like country to the city, like
Yeah,
what you just
yeah,
said, country to
yep,
the city.
yep, yep. And she
Oh,
always
that's really
said that
funny.
there's no way we could have the same mother or same dad, whatever, however she said it. But yeah, and then just losing my cat, and you
Yeah.
know, I asked my brother to come and help her with her transition, and her mama Mandy, our German Shepherd that she I had bought her for. So I'm gonna wait for that symbol and trying to think. She did use a rice cooker when she cooked her rice. Um, She was an excellent cook and baker. Christmas, she baked tons of cookies. She
Oh,
just
okay.
loved it.
So it
So,
sounds like she cooked more than I understood.
yeah, yeah,
Enjoyed
she
cooking
did.
more than I understood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she was
Okay.
really good at that.
Okay. And enjoyed it, it sounds like.
Yeah, she did. She did.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Um, I'm trying to think what else she said that I might have missed. If you think of anything I missed,
Hmm.
a question on.
Oh, the pool table. She may have just been showing me being around
I
guys
think back in the day, her and her boyfriend, um, um, played pool. I think he may have had a pool table in their downstairs game room or something. But
Okay.
when you were talking about the smoking,
Oh, yes, that's right.
her, her boyfriend and her sister would all gather around and smoke. You
Ah,
know, so I think that's what she was talking about for that.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's the
Thank you for
point
the
that I want.
feedback.
That's the point that I wanted to address was the smoking, Tammy, because you said that you thought that that was a memory, and you talked about the two girls in the room trying cigarettes for the first time because they're all coughing, and you actually described the room, and Rainey confirmed that it was accurate that had twin beds. But
yeah, they
my
both smoked, her and her sister, and they both shared a room with twin beds.
Okay. So my
Okay.
my question for you, Tammy, is like, how did you know that that was a memory versus like another piece of information? How would somebody distinguish those?
Gosh, that is really a good question. Maybe because of the way it comes in, because it comes in more as a video. So,
Oh,
and
explain that.
yeah, it comes in like that's why, like it's like controlled remote viewing. Um, it's a video that plays. So I see, they show me like a video and I see the action as though it were a video somebody had taken years ago. And, and so
As compared to what? What does it look like when it's not a video for you?
it might just be like one person doing something. It could either be a still shot. Sometimes it's just a still shot. And so
Yeah.
let me think of a good example. Ooh, it's difficult to think of a good example. Gosh, maybe it's also a feeling of this being a memory rather than, for example, with the pool table, that was the first thing that came in, and I saw just her shooting with a cue. Is that what they're called? I
Cute.
forgot. Cue.
Yeah.
Um, so I saw her doing that, and it was focused on her. Then it suddenly kind of spread out, and I saw the interaction with the guys there, and then felt what it felt like. And I knew it was flirtatious, but in a fun way, not like a serious. It
Mhm.
was more, everybody understood it was for fun, And whereas the other one was a memory because I could, there was nothing to feel into. There was nothing to
Ooh.
really feel into. It was more just, it was witnessing. I was witnessing the room and them coughing with smoking. And so I wasn't getting something more out of that, if that makes sense.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
I wasn't
Yeah,
getting
that's
like personality, or it was just like a fact. Like there's this. It was flat rather than kind of 3D.
yeah.
Um, I think is probably how I'd describe it. I mean, I do remember early on in training with the video part, it was like it was pretty fascinating with this one woman. I was literally in her car, like a car she used to own. And it was like I was floating around in the car, and I was like, oh, and there were so many details for this car. So it was a great, thing be having this experience with, because I was like, oh, there's something wrong with the door handle on the driver's side. It's, it's like funky. There's something wrong. And I said, and I could see like a finger pointing to the sound system. And I said, there's something with this sound system. It's very important. And then suddenly, like a hand hit the glove box. The glove box opened, and then I saw a finger go like this, like don't open, like as though don't open the glove box. And then
Jeez.
she said, can you see what color it is? And I said, oh, I know. Then I turned and I looked in the back and I described the back. I said, these are what the seats look like. And then she said, can you tell what the color is? And I said, let me just go outside. And I went outside and I described the color. And then she said, what about the license plate? And I went and I looked and I couldn't see numbers, which I thought was really interesting. It's like, I can't see numbers, but I can see I think if I remember correctly, there's a rainbow on it. Well, it turned out this was her old Fiat
Ooh,
when she lived in Alaska. I think it was Alaska or Hawaii. Maybe it was Hawaii when she was living in Hawaii.
okay.
That's the license plates have
Has
rainbows
a
on them.
rainbow. Oh, that's cool.
And the color, but she said the handle was broken. The sound system was significant because she changed it herself. Like she put in like a
Wow.
CD player. And she said, and you can't open that glove box because you can never get it closed again. So you don't ever open it.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's what sent me into doing controlled remote viewing classes. It was so awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
Awesome.
that's really cool. Okay, but I think you brought up a good point because that's kind of the way that it is for me when I get memories in, and it a memory is completely different for me, okay, from a contact with like a live spirit, because as Tammy said, like we were talking about these no's before. So when you get the no, you can go back to the spirit and say, give me that another way. Okay. And then the spirit will talk to you. Okay. But when it comes to those memories, it's like watching a TV screen. Okay. And for me in particular, what I notice about those memories often is that there's a difference in like clothing or time
Mhm.
or something that shows me that this piece of information is not in the same time period as what the spirit's talking about now. And that's how I know that it's
Mhm.
a memory versus current information. But I'll kick it over to you, Tammy. I'm sorry, Renee, and ask you, how can you tell the difference between a memory and a regular piece of information?
A lot of
I just,
times they show it to me in black and white.
okay.
The
No, it's
memory.
bold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Good. Okay. You wanted to say something, Tammy?
Well, I was just going to say, I agree with that because, like in this situation, the tones were like, with the memory, they were like in the yellows of like uh, the old cameras, like the
Oh,
Kodaks that are more yellowy. It
yeah.
was more yellowy, I would call it.
Okay.
Wow. Cool.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. But the point here for the benefit of our YouTube audience is that it's different for everybody, like what the memory looks like. The point that you have to remember is the memory looks different than the current information. And that's how you know that
Mhm.
it is a memory versus, a regular piece of information. So well, I'm glad you brought that up. That was
Yeah.
good.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to see if I can grab a spirit here. Let me see. Who do I want to talk to today? All right, Rainey, I feel like I am with you on this
Okay.
one. And I have a male stepping in here, and I want to say that this male has I'll call him Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Let's put him that way. Put it that way. Okay. And it's interesting because there is one side of him that is very sweet, um, caring, and the other thing that I want to talk about is hardworking. I feel like when this guy was on his best behavior, he
Mhm.
worked like a dog, and he did great work too.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then he has like this dark side to him. And when that dark side rears his ugly head, um, he's a completely different person. So do you understand who I'm talking about here?
Yes,
You
I
do.
do.
Okay. You're kind of wincing like this. Is it okay if I bring him in?
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious to
Okay.
see what you're gonna say.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. And for the benefit of our YouTube audience,
Zip it. I'm not saying anything to the
you
end.
noticed Reni's reaction here. Okay. So I had to ask her permission to bring this guy in just as a matter of courtesy, because sometimes the standard rule in mediumship is always do no harm. Okay. And if it's going to be traumatic for the sitter, then you just say, I'm not talking to you, to that spirit, and you bring in somebody else for your sitter. But Rini is willing to talk or hear from this man, so I'll see what he's got to say. Okay, would you understand with this man that like this dark side to him was related to substance abuse?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, okay. And would you understand that there were periods when he was in this dark side that it almost appeared like he had a death wish? Would that make sense?
That I don't know.
Okay. I just see, when I look on that dark side, I see such extreme recklessness. That's what I'm looking at,
Mhm.
like almost like he'd be driving down a dark winding road on a rainy night doing 100 miles an hour with his lights off, like that
Yeah.
degree of recklessness.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. I want to kick back to his nice side here. Hmm. Okay. This, and it's funny because like I'm looking at this guy and there's one side of him that's so dark, and then on the other side there's a side of him that's so ordinary. And what he's showing me right now, he's showing me planting, okay, like planting
Mhm.
shrubs and things like this. Did he do any gardening? Okay, you understand that? Okay. All right. And it's odd because so I have to ask him about that just because I'm curious. Because as mediums, we like to get out there and work in the garden just to ground ourselves, to connect ourselves to the earth. All right. And this gardening with him does not seem to fit with his personality, but I'm going to see. So he's actually talking about two things here. Okay. So he's talking about connection to the earth, but he's also talking, what he's saying is that when he dug into that earth, he felt like he was burying his secrets. This is what he's saying to
My
me.
gosh, that would make sense. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. Um, what I feel with this man is, I think deep down, like when you go straight to his core, there's an inherently decent person here. I think like right at the core, he was inherently a good guy. Okay. And he just got knocked off track. Okay. So would you understand him being like way deep down a very good guy? Okay. Uh, would you, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to ask, would you know that like this, I'm going to call this his self-destructive streak. okay, for lack of a better term. But would you be aware that that part of him started when he was still in school, started at a very young age? All right. Um, he's talking about his father. Okay, if I go down this road, would you be able to verify anything from that, do you think?
I know some about his father. Not a whole lot, but I know some.
Okay. All right. So what he's telling me is that when he was young, um he's basically saying that his father said that he would never amount to anything. Okay. And so he's calling it the self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, that it was drummed into his head when he was young that he would not uh, be anyone of, you know, I'm using his words, see, be a person of value is what he's saying. Okay,
Not that I know of would his
okay,
father say that, but he has a very good friend that that was said about his friend, and they would
okay,
discuss it.
okay, okay. All right, and he's back to he's talking about this self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, and he's saying when you feed it into a child's head, okay, that, you know, they're not um, worthy. He
Mhm.
says, then they are not worthy. Okay.
Right.
And, you know, and, and he's flat out saying to you, I'm not making excuses. That's what he wants you to know. He says, I'm not making excuses. Okay. But he says, I'm just trying to make you understand why I was the way I was. Okay, that's what he wants you to know. Um, he's owning up to his bad behavior, he says,
Okay.
apologizing to you. Saying that you deserved better. Saying that he's saying it that he's grateful to you because you saw, like, deep down that he had it, like, at his very, very core. Okay, you know, he was a decent person.
Mhm.
Okay. And he
Mhm.
said, you were the only person who ever saw that in him.
Mhm.
So, and that's what he wants you to thank you for. That's why he's here. Okay. Um, and he says again, I'm not making excuses. You know, but he's apologizing. Okay. And and thanking you. Okay. Uh, for recognizing what good there was in him. Okay. All right. And I that's a little on the dark side, but I'll leave that there. Thanks for letting me serve spirit. Apologies are always good, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I
right.
will tell you everything you said was spot on.
Okay.
Everything.
Okay.
And
All right.
I will tell you in person about it, but everything was spot on. And
Okay.
I did see to his core and know that he was a good person for the things that he did, drugs, alcohol, whatever, were involved. And he was like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, because he was the kindest, sweetest person you would meet. But when
Mhm.
he did these other things, look out,
Look out. Yeah. Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
cut you to the core that, you'd be like so sad that he
Yeah.
would say, or do these things. Yeah.
Did you understand the significance of the planting, or was that a symbol?
That was very, 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 very significant. Very.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you share for our YouTube audience, or is that crossing a line? I will
Um,
respect. So,
Something significant that he did for me was he planted these certain oriental grasses. And he dug all the holes, and he had just had surgery, and there was no possible way that he should have been able to do this. And he dug 30 holes and put in 30 grasses.
Oh
You know,
my.
it was like amazing, you know.
Wow. Wow, wow,
And
wow.
he, because I was talking about me being a gardener, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not a gardener, I'm not this." But to plant all these grasses was like amazing to me. So
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
you're
Thank you.
welcome.
So,
Thank you for that.
okay. Well, sorry to end on a bit of a downer note there, but I think, you know, in some respects, I kind of like it actually when people come in and apologize, you
Yeah.
know, to them,
Yeah.
you know, to a sitter. I actually think that's part of the healing process on
Yeah.
the other side. So let's take a moment. Let's talk about the apology readings. Shall we? Okay. All right. And in my opinion, you know, I think that's part of their evolution. It's
Right.
kind of like you know, they talk about when you go to Alcoholics Anonymous and you go through the 7 steps, okay, you know, and apologizing to the people that you hurt, you know, is one of those things, okay? And I think the same carries over to the other side. I think, you know, you cannot progress as a soul unless you come back and you apologize, you know, to the people that you hurt. And, you know, without going into detail, obviously, you know, this guy was not the easiest person to be around, and you know, he hurt Renee to some extent. So he's come back and apologized.
And Alcoholics Anonymous is very significant too.
Is it really?
Yeah, so thanks for that too. That was like more confirmation, you know?
Ah, geez. Okay.
Oh, that was awesome.
All right. Well, I'll flip it over to Tammy. What do you think about the apology readings in general, Tammy? You know?
Yeah, well, I don't think yours ended us on a down note at all. I thought it was, you know, somewhat uplifting because, you know, they are coming in and apologizing, and, you know, people are still, from what we have learned, you know, that they're still evolving wherever they are, and that we can actually even help them. You know, they're learning from us, you know, too. So, you know, however that works. And so if we're forgiving, then, you know, they're learning from us, because that means we're evolving if we can forgive. And so it sounds like it, you know, it's a two-way street. And so some of them have been, you know, some of them are, you know, a nice apology like this, and then some are, you know, just, you know, I won't describe it, but I have one that just sticks out in my mind because I just had never heard anybody apologize so profusely. And so, you know, so regret, so with so much regret. And, you know, it just, you know, it's just the whole reading practically after, you know, evidential, and she knew who it was. And, you know, it just, he just, I mean, he went into some reason why he thought that was the case, but, yeah, no, it really, it's a reading that, and this is an interesting question for the two of you. When you've had those, how does it affect you, you know, afterward? Because I know for me afterward, I'm kind of in a different place. You know, I mean, I'm just a little more, um, maybe a little more physically spacey afterward. And, yeah, it just kind of takes you somewhere else. I don't know. I'm curious to hear from both of you. Like, do you have a physical, is there anything physical?
I'll run with that ball, okay, and you know, tell our YouTube audience that I on a previous episode on this channel, actually, my high school boyfriend came in and apologized to me, and I just thought it was fascinating because the words that the medium was Effie, okay, and the words that she used was, she said, he apologized for trying to extinguish your light.
Oh,
And I thought,
mhm.
that was fantastic. And to, and so to answer your question, Tammy, all right, that episode happened on this channel well over a year ago. I still remember her words because
Right.
they had such a profound impact on me, you know?
Mhm.
So I don't know. What about you, Renee? How do you feel about it?
Well, I had one for someone in my life that came through 3 separate times, and I think all 3 times were with the same person when we did the early bird morning group. And the first time he came in real rough and tough like he was here. And he said, and I said, I don't want to talk to him. And just like how he was here, he's like, yeah, whatever. That was his last words. Yeah, whatever. And he left. Well, then months later, he came back again, and the girl started with the information. And I said, I'm not really sure I want to hear this. And she continued, and I said, I really don't want to hear this. Well, she continued. Every time I said, I don't want to hear anything,
I
she
remember.
continued and continued. So when she ended it, I was really distraught over the reading. And it bothered me for a couple weeks. Like, I just kept thinking of the things they said. Well, then recently, he came back in and was very, very forgiving. He was down on his knee, started out that way, said, I'm sorry for the way I've talked, the way I've treated you, the way I treated the family. He named some things he did, but it was the same person that had brought him in before on the last bad one. And she said, and I don't know if she realized it was him. She said, if at any point you want me to stop, you tell me. And I said, no, because he was very forgiving at this point, which was unbelievable. So at the end of that reading, I felt good because we're always taught to leave the sitter in a good
Right.
place. Don't let them be sad and be crying, and the second one was very terrible. I was very distraught for weeks after it. But the third one, I understood where he was coming from. And like he kept, please forgive me, please forgive me, please forgive me, even taking his cap off and saying, hats off to you for having me in your life. And I'm sorry that I did this to you and the family. So it was good. It was good. It was acceptable. And like today, yeah, I'll take that.
All right.
I'm-
What about you, Tammy?
Well, I was curious to know, as a medium, when you have somebody come through who is apologizing, which is what I was describing. So you're the medium bringing this information. How do you like? Do you have an emotional feeling afterward? Like how? What is?
You mean if I was to be presenting that information,
Yes,
I can always they let me feel
like
how they want.
afterward. You know.
So I let the sitter know that this
Mhm.
was somebody in your life that was very abusive. Do you want me to ask them to leave, or do you want to hear what they have to say? And sometimes they're like, nope, I don't want to hear anything. I know who it is. No. And sometimes they're like, yeah, go ahead. And if I stop you during mid-sentence, is that okay? And I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
but I can usually feel like how they were and what they did.
And then after the reading, do you have any kind of residual emotional or physical?
No, because I usually work with spirit and say, when the session's over, it's over. All ties are cut. I don't want to pursue anything further with spirit.
Mhm.
And see,
How about
for
you,
me,
Carol?
I'm kind of like different, because when, like, I knew, um, just in, like, when I saw this guy out there, um, and it's funny because, like, when I read, I can see my sitter's, like, universe of spirit people. And normally I wouldn't have chosen somebody who was, shall I say, that sketchy. Okay, I mean, some spirits look happier than others. Okay, and he, like, I just wouldn't have picked him, but he presented himself to me initially like with his hat in his hand and said, please let me talk. Okay, so he begged me to let him talk. Okay, and so I kind of went through this, oh, shouldn't I? And then I said, all right, we're here to, help people through this process of mediumship. And I said, I'm going to take a chance here and I'll let this guy talk and hopefully, it will go okay. And it did, so, but yeah, I was a little worried about him, whether or not his presence would be hurtful to my sitter.
Mm-hmm.
The hat is significant too, that you say that, because
The hat in the hand. Yeah.
that is significant. And I'll
Really?
tell you
Okay.
about that at
All
a
right.
later date.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad he's evolving.
Yeah, definitely needs resolving.
Yeah, like my high school boyfriend.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
Oh, geez, that's funny. All right, ladies. Well, another great session today. We want to thank our YouTube audience for coming in and joining us today. And if you liked what you see on this channel, please hit like and subscribe. You'll be notified of our upcoming live streams. If you have any questions that you would like us to address, send an email to the channel. And, maybe what we'll do is answer your question flat out, after the session is over, and maybe provide some more insights for you too. But in the meantime, I'm going to shut us down with a prayer. If everyone would join me, please. Holy Father, Mother God, thank you for allowing us to come together today in service of spirit. Thank you for this gift of mediumship that you've given us, and allow us to use this precious gift to help others who need your healing and love. Bless our friends and loved ones and protect them from sickness and harm. Bring joy into the lives of people who have sorrow, health into the lives of people who have illness, and abundance to the lives of people who have little. Thank you for the lessons that you've given us today, and help us to continue to build a relationship with you that is based on love and trust. And always, please help us to be the lights that change this world for the better. Amen. All right. Thanks again. See you next